I feel like I don't have an off button. And there was a meme that something said, like, I have this great idea, and my response is, fuck it. Just do it.
Welcome to the place where the doors never close and the stories never stop. This is the hospitality industry where late nights turn into lifelong friendships and where every shift has a story. We're pulling back the curtain and passing the mic to the voices that keep the industry alive. The wins, the chaos, and the lessons, the unforgettable moments. I'm Matt Pye, and this is the Hospitality Effect. Welcome to the Hospitality Effect.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited.
Yes.
You're someone that I've wanted to speak to for a very long time. One of my most favorite professional people. You and I met almost 20 years ago.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Maybe
It
not
really
20. It's probably 18.
It's close, yeah.
But it's close.
Wow.
And when we were discussing you coming on, I said, the relationship didn't start out as best as it could, right? It was slightly confrontational. I think we both had lots of opinions on things.
Sure did.
That didn't necessarily align. And what I really enjoyed, though, is the professionalism that came out of it, right? Like the camaraderie and friendship that we've built over the years through all of that.
Yeah.
And what I've always wanted to say, and this is for everyone, it's how you show up and present yourself to other people.
Yep.
And no matter what, you have always shown up for me. And you've always made sure that my best interests, specifically when it comes to insurance, were always taken care of, right? And I think in those moments of confrontation, there was always a path forward. And I think there was always conversation that came out of it that was really helpful for both of us.
Yes, and to add on to that, it was also very respectful. So we might have disagreed or had those confrontations, but I respected you from that aspect. So
for sure.
That happens, right? And we all have different viewpoints, but
and I think some of it is, it's conflicting information.
Yeah,
right.
totally.
It's like I don't ever think that I'm right. I think that what I've done may be correct.
Yep.
And when we were sharing information at that time, I don't necessarily think it was coming from bad places.
No.
I think it was just coming from conflicting, differences of opinions and in different directions. And we were doing what was right for each other at that point.
Yep.
So,
and in our mind is always a different story and a different viewpoint. And you're like not on the same page, so it gets a little crazy.
Right. 100%.
Anytime. Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
We started in the hospitality industry together. We were, in different places in our lives. And, we were very much employees at that point. You were also an employee in helping build a small business. It was probably one of the better, or if not the best bakery in town at the time. And I think some of that has led to your success today. So I guess, kind of give us a brief history of where you started and, kind of how some of that has molded you to where you are today.
I've always known I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So when this business opportunity presented itself, it was a no-brainer. Like, I just wanted to get out from having a boss, build my own kind of business with my own two hands. And what's funny is you said bakery, and I know nothing about baking. Now I do, but I'm really great at operations. I'm really great at relationships, and I had to learn all of that.
You're amazing with people too.
Yes.
Right. And I
Yes.
do want that to be, one of the things that you talk about, because you are really great with people. You're very genuine. And you support the community around you.
It's so important because if you start with that base, honestly, like I mean, hello, knowing nothing about baking, I ran a bakery and we hit $1 million in sales. I think we did pretty damn good. So, but it all came from our foundation and how I run things. And to me, relationships are the most important thing. And our sales relationships, our business relationships with wedding venues, with catering companies, with, restaurants, they're all super important, and doing the right thing and following through and holding your end of the bargain. Did we fuck up sometimes? Absolutely. But we owned it and we moved on and we figured out how to make it right. Even if it's at midnight, scrambling, we figure it out. So
yeah, and
that's important.
One of those things too, I think what you've reflected, and this is speaking personally, is even when I've had to help you in the middle of the night, you've never not picked up my phone call or called me back. Right. And you are in customer service to an aspect, right? And you genuinely embody what those things are for people, right?
Yeah.
And I've never felt under supported from you, regardless of what organization you were working for
Yep.
or now representing
Sure.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're I guess you're a broker, is
Yep.
that the right term?
So I'm technically an independent agent.
Okay,
So I represent my agency that has about 10 to 15 different carriers.
got
So
it.
honestly, because of that, we truly believe in the best for our clients and have to do what's right for them, right? Because I don't earn somebody's business until I actually write the policy. Whereas if I'm in what's called a captive company, they can only write their product. So they have to pretend that their product is
Or
the
sell you
end
on
all
why
be
it's
though.
the
Yeah,
best.
exactly.
Right.
And so when it might not, they all have great, they're all good at one thing, but when you're dealing with entire portfolios, there's not one company out there that is great at all of them. So I can now truly, with the best interest of my clients, put one item here, and just kind of spread it over. But now you're getting the proper coverage.
Where do you think the biggest challenges for you now with, I mean, not just everything, but how do you better show up for people in that game, right? When you were at a single agency, I get that it narrows your focus, right?
Yep.
So how does this broad focus create more accessibility, but create more confrontation too, or more conflicting information?
It's hard because every carrier has different nuances, and you have to know every single one because it's my responsibility to write a proper policy. Like this carrier might not allow your personal car to have an LLC as a title. This carrier might. And then come claim time, it might not be covered. Or
Right.
if we didn't do it properly, you might not have the right coverage. So it's really important. So we turned 7 a couple months ago. So started scratch with no clients. And now we have over 2,000, which is super awesome.
It's amazing.
But I've spent years building like a platform that I can put, and now with the help of AI, it's even more phenomenal. And I already had the base of to allow my team we call it kind of just like it's on the OneDrive, right? And it's all of the database of all of our carriers, the nuances with each carrier. We call it our carrier resource center. So we can go to it. Okay, what's that one company that allows this weird thing, this weird thing? And so I really try to make it easy for my team. So they don't have to ask me
Right.
every single second because I really think it's important to teach them and make sure they have the tools to properly serve our clients as well.
What do you think the most influential piece that you've taken out of all your
Mm.
previous experience that you can give to people? Like, what is the one thing that in your team you're like, this is the not the sauce or the secret sauce, but what is the most successful piece of advice you can give someone that's, presenting themselves that way?
It's a good question. Honestly, I think it's just being authentic and genuine, just yourself. People can read the BS meter
Oh, for sure.
really easily.
Yeah.
And I don't I'm not doing it to make the sale. I'm doing it to genuinely help people. And I feel like that comes across. And my team has been hand selected to have that same
Yeah, I
experience.
think you and I have shared that mentality for a long time. It's
Yeah.
like, "Hi, I don't need to hear the
Yeah.
fluff. Just tell me what it
Yeah.
is," right? Like,
Yep.
I've had claims, I've had issues, and
Yep.
there's been goods and bads.
Yep.
And, even when it comes to business insurance, like, I've
Mhm.
called you for advice. And when I got my new home, I wanted all the coverage imaginable, right? Because I have a pool and I have everything else. But, like, you've helped me through a lot of that. And it's like, it's not that it's a difficult conversation, it's just an honest conversation. So
Yeah.
I do think that that's good
Yeah.
advice for anybody, right? Every time you're genuine and authentic, people can't question that part of it, right? Like they
Nope.
can be frustrated with the outcome, but they can't be frustrated with you.
Correct.
Yeah, I
And
think
I
that
think my
that's
industry gets a bad rap from that. We're like used car salesmen.
yeah,
And so I honestly, being direct, for example, I think every single person that owns a home should have a personal umbrella policy, right? And so I sell it every time. And I always get pushback if they don't have it or don't understand, and I'm like, they think I'm just selling them to make more money. And I have straight up told people, I make like $12 on this policy. I promise you I'm not doing all this work. I don't need that $12. Like, that is such a, like, small piece of the whole pie. So I'm like, "Go back to your lawyer, your estate attorney, your wealth advisor, whomever," and then sure enough, they go get their advice. It's to get one, and then they call me back, and we
Well,
fit.
yeah, and we always joke, in our small friend group that
Yeah.
Ashley always wants to overinsure you
Yeah.
because she's an insurance agent, and I'm like, yes. However, when it's a negligible cost,
Yes.
I think that it is always the best way forward, right? Like
Yep.
you've never given me something that I felt was unreasonable, right?
No.
Like there's things I'm like, hey, what natural disaster just happened? Do I have all of that? And you're
Totally.
like, sure. Where you're at, I don't think you need flood insurance because you're on top of a hill, right? You're
Yep.
not in the valley or
Yep.
whatever it is. And like you give very good recommendations. And
Yeah, I lay it all out. I It's my job as a licensed professional. Here are the all of the lines that you might need, but we sell, you've asked about earthquake, and I said, I've people that I've actually sold the earthquake coverage to are people from California who have probably all lived that experience. If it gives them peace of mind at night, sure.
yeah,
Do I think we're really going to have a disaster here? Probably not, but it's my job to let you know that your current policy does not cover it.
right.
And here are the options. Your job to manage your risk and what you're willing
Absolutely.
to pay for it.
So in this transition,
Mhm.
right, you've come from the agency side where you were working for specific companies,
Mhm.
and now you're independent. You've created this business. You have multiple employees. I guess how did you start that, and what was the risk assessment you gave yourself?
I feel like I don't have an off button. And there was a meme that something said, like, I have this great idea. And my response is, fuck it. Just do it.
100%.
So to be quite honest, that's pretty much it. I went from managing 2 offices, breadwinner of the family, to need to make a change. I did my research, right? Like, do I go work corporate, make good, comfortable 6 figures, which I could easily do the next day. That didn't sit well. I wanted flexibility. I don't want people to tell me what to do. I know my own work ethic. So I just made a few phone calls, made sure this is the right direction, because what I noticed is the company that I worked for, there were several people that I wanted to help that couldn't because it wasn't that profile specific for that company.
Right.
And I was really bummed about it. And then I started thinking to myself, because I thought that company, while it is a great company, it's the same. It comes down to the agent, to be quite honest. They're all the same. Doesn't matter. You can go and read 10 negative, reviews for that claims process as you can for every other one.
Right.
So how is your agent showing up for you? And that's what I started noticing, that people were getting insurance from me because of me and because of my help. And so I was like, you know what? I can do that on my own. I've made my boss a good amount of money. It's time to turn the tables. So asked mom and dad for about 15 grand. They believed in me, and boy, it was hit the ground running. It
Well,
is
yeah,
commission.
and
There is no help.
right.
Like,
Yeah, I've
gotta
had
feed the
friends that have
family.
gone into the healthcare side of it,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
just like, "Hey, listen, like
Yeah.
I gave up." And the reason I'm asking this is because
Mhm.
those people, they gave up six-figure jobs, and they're like, "I'm below the poverty line,
Yep.
for the first year because I made nothing."
Yep.
Right? Like I didn't even make $20,000, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's hard. And if I didn't
Yeah.
have a partner, right,
Yep.
that was helping me support through this and go through all that, you had family, you have
Yep.
all that stuff, but
Yep.
it's hard,
It
right?
is
And
very
and it's
hard.
always scary for people. And I get that it's never going to be ideal, but taking that risk obviously was worth it for you. You
Yeah.
you now have how many employees?
10.
And
Yeah.
you're in how many states?
13.
Right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, that's a success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you're
We just crossed 7 figures.
right. You're a female-led company,
Mhm.
right? But you don't just employ females, right?
Nope.
But you're a female CEO, and
Yeah.
you've, taken a lot of this, from yourself, but you've given a lot to other people too.
Yeah.
So how are you, sharing that knowledge with your team? How are you kind of integrating that training process to them? How do you get them to be you one day?
It's funny. My big thing is my entire family are all teachers. And so me and my uncle and my grandma, the 3 out of everybody else are the black sheep. And but I do love the teaching aspect, and my mom reminds me every time, like, "You might not be teaching a classroom full of kids, but you clearly were raised by a bunch of teachers because you've brought that element to your clients. You bring it every day to your clients, you bring it to your team. So it's just a different, different vehicle." And I'm like, I didn't think about it that way. So to me, my team is the most important because if our culture and our team is aligned, then it spills over to our clients. And I think that shows to make sure that culture is strong and that foundation is strong.
Yeah, something that came up for me this weekend. A friend had reached out to me, and she's kind of struggling in her career,
Mhm,
not because she's unsuccessful,
mhm,
but just because she feels a little bit of lack of purpose, maybe,
mhm.
or direction. She kind of came to me, and this is something I know you take a lot of pride in, so I just wanted to unpack it with you.
Yep,
Is I don't feel like, this was her comment. I don't feel that I've been given the support to kind of expand myself, or career advancement for myself. I don't feel like I'm getting the training that I need or the education that I need.
mhm,
And I understand what she's going through. I felt of a similar way at times in my career, but I kind of turned the tables a little bit on her.
mhm,
And I said, listen, I hear all that. I guarantee that if you asked, someone would support you. And I know that, you do have tuition assistance and those types of things. I said, but I'm just going to ask you a question. How are you investing in yourself? Right?
mhm.
Like right now, you're kind of presenting this victimist,
Yeah,
the victim mentality, and I'm not being supported. But how are you supporting yourself? What education are you giving yourself? And
yep,
she's super positive in her position. She's always maintaining for her team. However, in that same conversation, when I ask the question, it's just like, I I'm not. You could be.
yeah,
You could be going and getting an online degree from Cornell
mhm,
in your industry,
yep,
and you're not. So why not?
yep,
Right. And I think this is something I know, focus on personal development. So I
yep,
think you can touch on this, but also
yep,
from a company perspective.
yep,
So why don't you kind of explain, how you've grown yourself, grown your business, and
mhm,
and put back into your teams.
yeah. Um, I think it's super important to start with ourselves and put ourselves in that position, and I'm a lifelong student. Like, there will never be a year that I don't attend a conference or I'm in a mastermind for my agency. I'm also in a mastermind, I think is the best way to put it, not even anything to do with my industry. I wanna be the smallest person in that room, that smallest business in that room, and surround myself by just uber successful people, because that's how I grow. And then in turn, I wanna give that back to my team because I think that's so important. And so I separated from a partner. There was a brief moment that I partnered my agency. I started by myself. Brief lapse of judgment, just didn't work out. So we separated in 2025, and 2024 was hard. It was very hard. I guess you've been through 2 of these with me, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. All of them.
Just dawned on me.
Yeah.
Um, so next time you're allowed to speak up and hold me accountable.
Operating agreements for anyone
Yes.
that's listening, super important. Please listen.
But even those can backfire. But so 2025, I was finally free and I have a coach. I think it's important no matter what level you're at, you have to have a coach for accountability and just training and teaching. And so she really kind of helped me see where I was lacking and where I needed to grow, just to kind of regain that confidence and regain that momentum of,
Do you think it was
"I can do this."
refocus, or do you think it was like,
Mm.
lack of skill in something?
No skill. I think I lost a lot of confidence
Sure.
that I could do this and that I was the true leader because of what I went through. So I think it was just refocusing and resetting because I know it was there. Like, I know I can do it,
Yeah.
but it was just I was knocked down a little bit. So 2025, I invested a lot of money in self-development because I felt it was really important. And it was 2025 was rough financially because my partner took money back. I had to take out a loan to buy him out, and then I kept the whole team. And that was a struggle. But I believed in my team. I believed in every single person there. And so you just figure it out. And even through the hard. And this is where people don't realize business ownership is great and glamorous, but also has a really hard times that we have to go through and make, difficult decisions. So the self-development was very critical in helping me grow out of that. And doesn't matter how woo-woo, how religious, but you manifest. And I am Christian and just put a ton of faith in the path that I was going down and just stuck to my values in 2025, and I didn't stray. And I will tell you, this year has been the best year I've
And
ever had.
listen, I will never make anything for or not or for or against the religious side,
Sure.
right? Like
Mhm.
I always tell people it's whatever your belief system
Yep.
is, but
Yeah.
believe in yourself,
100%.
right?
Like,
Like
I had to have a lot of faith.
right, no one is
And
going to
yeah.
be a cheerleader for you but you, right?
Yep.
And if you're not investing in yourself, no one's going to
No.
invest in you.
No.
So I think that is
Yeah.
what you just said is super, impactful for me to hear, but I think it's for other people to hear. It's super important that you understand too what people don't see,
Yeah.
right? They don't see that not only when you were starting this business, you were also trying to have children, ended up having twins,
Yep.
right? And through a lot of trial and error on that.
Mhm. Yep.
And, you know, through whatever grace of God for you, that happened,
Yep.
right? And how amazing was that? And
Oh,
you've grown through all of that. You've succeeded through all of that,
yeah.
right? All that failure that has occurred prior to that time,
Mhm.
you now have all this success. And how much greater is it now, right? How
Oh,
much more beautiful is it?
it's so awesome. And it's the reason why I went into business, to have that flexibility for that future family
Right.
that I was manifesting, that I was praying, all the things about. But I think that goes back to, your friend wanting to advance and kind of like you it's the initiative piece, right? And
Yeah.
like there's no there's no choice. Like it doesn't I'm running the business and I own it, so I have to. But I could also sell it for a good amount, and people sell all the time at the stage I was back then. But regardless whether you're just an employee or you're business owner, it's what you put into it.
Right, but you're
It's
an
what
expert in what
you
you do,
Yeah,
right? And I know you take continuing education and that type of
yeah.
stuff, but you're an expert in what you do,
Mhm.
and now you're branching out to understand other things that you're not an expert in.
Yeah,
You talked about AI and all that other
yeah,
stuff. You're continuing,
yeah,
you're furthering along where you're going,
yep,
and I'm sure your team sees that.
yeah.
Like how often are you investing in them? Like, is there a frequency? Do you have a cadence? Like, is it always Mondays? Is it once a quarter? Like, what is
Mhm.
it? And how do you keep them,
Yeah.
moving forward?
First of all, I'm always available. Open door, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how big we get. They know that they're welcome to come to me anytime. I say hello and good morning. My whole team is remote. 3 of us are actually here in Vegas, 4 of us, but everybody works remote, and that's hard. That's a struggle for sure. But we have a Teams channel, we call it office chatter. We're constantly on there. I'm not very active. And, I just think it's super important to be there. And one of my employees made the comment, and I didn't think about it. She actually came from the company that I came from, but my team has all the trust in the world from me, and they have the autonomy to make their own decisions. So if they don't wanna deal with this client, or the prospect, I should say, that calls, they're difficult, they're rude, they're not responding, they think they're the licensed agent, they have every right to say, "You know what? You're not a good fit for us. Go online and get insurance." And they actually I think that is the biggest thing for them feeling the empowerment that we offer in our culture, which then in turn allows them to be more confident working. But I have my employees, we try to do team bonding once a year. Last year we couldn't. But the year prior, everybody's in a few different states. They all come together for 3 days. I'm planning one at the end of this year. And then when it comes to self development for my team, so important. Like right now, I have my office manager going to a self development conference that's really intensive. Emotional intelligence has nothing to do with insurance, but I know it'll make her better. And she embraced it with open arms.
Did she
And
come to you
she's
or did you go to her?
it was kind of a mix. She's been telling me this year, I have a great relationship with everybody on my team. You know, it's hard to cross that HR
But you're a human
line.
being.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely think we're definitely not HR. Politically correct sometimes in our agency. But she kind of was making comments to me about really working on herself this year and making some changes personally. And I've known her for 8 years, so it just comes with it. And I had completed the same training earlier in the year, and I just knew, I'm like, This would be amazing for her." I didn't tell her a whole lot. She has to experience it herself because we all experience different things through it.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's scared as hell, but she's so excited. And I'm paying that. I'm paying for her to go, not to mention 2 full days off
Right.
at the
And
office.
I think that's super important to touch on
Mhm.
too, because you are a small business,
Yep.
you are an independent,
Yep.
and you're making this investment in your team that a lot of places just won't, right? And I think
Yeah.
the internal the internal
Yeah.
customer is as important, if not more important than the external,
Yep.
because if you're caring for those people, they're going to care for you, they're going to care for your business. And I think
100%.
it's really great that you're reinvesting into that and
Yeah.
kind of showing them where that's important, right? And
Yep.
I do think, the human capital that you're going to get back out of that is going to be,
Oh, yeah.
amazing,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And she's so loyal, and she's one of my she's been with me. I've managed her at the old office. It wasn't even a question when she came to work for me when I first started 6 months in. Honestly, I probably hired her a little too soon if you're looking at the numbers on the P&L, but I also knew where my strengths were and where hers were, and we're perfect because she likes the nitty-gritty details, and I'm like, "Wee, let's just have fun and go sell and talk to
right.
people and make friends." So we really worked well together, but I just think it's important if my team is doing well, it spills over to how they care for their clients, my clients, our clients. And I think you can really make that difference. So I never question. I had another employee want to go to a conference, I think last year, and it was local to our hometown, and it was about women in leadership. And I knew nothing about it. She asked me for the day off. I paid for it, and I didn't even charge her for the day off. I knew that that's something that she wanted to do. So,
Yeah, and listen, I think it's really, it's great,
yeah.
that you're doing that for your people
Hmm.
because again, the support goes so much further too,
Yeah.
right? Like it's always like, "Hey, I can give you the time or whatever," but it's this,
Yep.
you're doing the right thing for the right people.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's just super important to kind of stress for everyone
Yeah.
is, your investment in your teams won't always turn out to be the best for
Correct.
you,
Yep.
but it will turn out to be the best for them, right? And
Totally.
and hopefully they see it in themselves to want to, continue down that path with you.
Yeah. And even if we part ways at some point, I know that I've left their life just a little better. And I've made, and that made that small impact in their life.
How have you created, that inclusive environment for them? Like how have you have teams in different places, right? But
Hmm.
how have you created that inclusive environment where they also want to share that information? Like how do they help each other being in different markets?
I think that's just our culture and just our personality. I genuinely want to get to know you. And I just having that open door policy and constantly like sharing my life, they slowly open up. I have another employee who's been through a lot, and she is constantly opening up to myself or my manager, her manager. And I take pride in that they feel comfortable coming to us. Um, and that's something that I don't take for granted, but I think it's just kinda going back to the being authentic and genuinely caring for people. I don't just talk,
Yeah,
ask you
listen,
how
we've
your
talked
day's
about
going, you know?
you've bought people cars to help them get to
Yeah,
work, like, you've
I did,
listen,
yeah.
you've done a lot, and, I'm not gonna throw all of your business out there, but, like, you've done a lot of great
Yeah,
things, you show up every day for your people,
yeah,
so in that same regard, I guess, how can you give advice to people that are starting a small business, right?
mhm,
Like, what are some of the non-negotiables? What is something that's super important in the building process to make sure that you're shoring up that team, right? Like you
yeah,
said, you hired someone too early,
yep,
but it was super important to shore up yourself, right?
yeah.
Like, so what's a kind of a non-negotiable that you would say, like, listen, I don't care what the business is, this is something that's super important.
I think gosh, there's a lot, but I think to me, really learning what your strengths are and then hiring for your weaknesses, because then you can go on and do what you're really good at and not have to worry about that so your business can grow. And you have to do a hard look and you have to this is a lot for me to say this, but you have to relinquish control. I'm a control freak. I think most people are. It's a lot to let go. Like we just closed, a couple really big accounts that we're working on. I wasn't leading any of them. And that was really hard for me. I'm sitting back going, "Can I help with something? How can I help?
Do you feel
What
like
can
in
I
those
do?"
moments you've given up control, or do you
No.
feel like you've just given up the first position?
Ooh.
So I talk to people
Yeah.
while you're thinking about that. I talk to
Yeah.
people. I'm like, listen, I I'm not asking you to give up
No.
anything.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you to give up is first position. I
Yeah.
want you to put someone else in first position,
Yeah.
right? And I relate this back to my industry, right? As
Yep.
a chef,
Yep.
I can expedite really well,
Mhm.
right? But I'm going to take the number 2 spot because I know that when I'm in the number 2 spot, I can go jump on the line and cook.
Yeah.
I can go pull the dish pit. I can do whatever, but I can also make sure that first
Is
position
supported.
is
Yeah.
100% supported because I'm technically doing that at the same time, but that person's just feeling like they're just
Right. You're
flowing,
empowering
right?
them. Yep.
And then once I get them flowing, I can pull back and I can
Yep.
pull back and then they feel the heavy when I step off, right? I
Yeah.
can go jump on the
Totally.
pizza station, jump on the
Mhm.
pasta station. And now they have to do it all by themselves.
Yeah.
So I guess in that for that emotion for you,
Yeah.
is it giving up is it just giving up that first position, right? Like, because 'cause you're
Yeah.
not the lead, but is that what it is for you?
I think I don't I hired somebody actually more competent than me. And so I'm slowly changing roles. I'm no longer really in my business.
It's
I'm
great.
able to work on it, and that's a hard mindset shift. It really is, but I'm always there for support, but they didn't need me.
Yeah.
They're just fine, and I'm like, yes, but" so it's a whole different shift for
How do
me.
you feel about it? Like, we're talking about it. How do
Yeah.
you feel about it? How does it make
I'm
you
pretty
feel?
antsy, like, but I mean, I never questioned his process by any means. It's me.
Yeah.
It's literally me, and it's weird not to be, like, in the trenches with it, and so, quite frankly, I was able to focus on the process and the operations and finally get some, processes done and SOPs done that I haven't been able to because I've been in the trenches.
Did
So it's a
you
shift.
did you have a relief or
Mm,
more anxiety from that?
probably both. One of the counts was a little bit more complex and probably would have taken me double the amount of hours that he just was able to process it.
How are you gonna find more relief for yourself?
I'm working on if I'm not working 9 to 5, I'm not valuable. That's where I'm
Yeah, but that's not your value.
yeah, I
Now
know,
you have to
that's
find
yes,
your new value,
yes,
right? Like, your
yes,
value isn't what you've
no,
given, right? It's what
correct.
you're giving, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that that's something that I've been kind of tasked with through the consulting side, right?
mhm,
It's like I'm same as you. Like, I
yeah,
want to be here. I
mhm,
want to be here all the time. And then
yep,
when not here all the time, it's like I'm
right,
not giving the value that I thought
right,
that I thought
yeah,
I gave, right?
yeah,
But I'm giving the guidance and I'm giving the support differently, right? And
you're
it's
right.
it's challenging.
It's hard to, like, actually sit in that. That's you nailed it. You're like, "Okay, no, I'm still checking in, I'm still holding, accountability. Everybody's accountable still." Here's our goals. We do Monday meetings. You know, one thing that I've actually incorporated that I really enjoy for anybody that has remote businesses, I'm not a fan of there are some companies that they do like they're on a Teams or Zoom call all day long. So you can just like jump in and do that. But I'm out and about, meetings here and there and going places. And so I'm not a big fan of that because I don't want the team thinking I'm not there. But every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays for an hour, we just have virtual office. We're all there. Half the time we shoot the shit. Half the time we're all silent. The other half we're all silent because we're working. But if we have a question pop up, right? I missed the water cooler, talks
Sure.
and little things like that, or you're listening to a phone call, and that I've learned from that, being in the office. So I do miss that aspect of it, but we get that in our virtual workroom. So it's been a good like kind of compromise to have that piece to honestly with the culture, you know.
Do you think your business in its current format, you've incorporated some AI,
Uh-huh.
right? You still have a physical office.
Yep.
Do you think at a certain point you're going to lose the physical office?
No. I'm an office person. I went fully remote. We subleased our office by the airport and I was miserable. I don't have like a separate office at home and my kids are in daycare. So it's not, but I kept I was inefficient. I was getting sidetracked. Yeah, it's great to do the laundry and throw dinner on the stove, but this is not for me. So I have my office manager coming back to work in the office. I have my marketing director come once or twice a week. I'm going to be there. We're going to start doing lunch and learns monthly to get some traffic in there. And quite frankly, our next hire will probably be local and I'll want them in office, but I'm still okay with remote. And if the right fit comes up, it is what it is, and if they're remote, but I really do think there's been a shift. You can, you know, tell me if you've heard differently, but I feel like there is a big shift and people are going back into the office, but it's the flexibility. Kid sick. Yep. You know what? Take your laptop, go work from home. These
Y-
things come up,
For
do
sure.
that.
Yes. And
Hmm.
I think that is probably where I see the world going is the flexibility,
Yep.
right? And I don't want to say it's the hybridization of it,
Right.
but I do think that there is, a lot of good that's come out of some of
Hmm.
this, right? With people working from home and a lot of bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that I've discussed on different points in time with different people.
Right.
So I guess something else to discuss is my industry, the food and beverage industry,
Hmm.
has always been subsidized by people overextending themselves, right? Where
Yeah.
we've had 2 or 3 jobs,
Hmm.
right? Like you're working 2 full-time
Yep.
to survive, and then you probably throw a part-time in there occasionally.
Hmm.
And these are universal positions. This isn't that I was a cook or a dishwasher or a server or a bartender.
Yeah.
Universally, the majority of people in the industry have 2 jobs, right? People that now have the option to not go to a physical building because they're not producing something, right? They're not manufacturing anything. They can work from a computer. It's come up recently, and this is why I think the question is important to you.
Yeah.
They can't have 2 jobs, right? Because the perception, and it's the reality, but the
Hmm.
perception is that they're holding down 2 or 3 positions and they're working simultaneously,
Yeah.
right?
I've
So
been seeing that.
I have a lot of friends in tech
Uh-huh.
that, they're doing this and they see it and they're very nervous because different tracking's happening or different people are being held accountable. And people have brought me into the conversation and I just
Hmm.
said, listen, I've given them the same story I gave you. I don't think there's anything unethical or immoral about what you're doing from the perspective of I don't know specifically like if company A has proprietary stuff that you're sharing with company B.
Sure. Yep.
That apart, if you're doing work for A and work for B and there's overlap in time, what is the difference if the work is being accomplished,
Yeah.
right? So if I've given you a
Yeah.
goal and a task, if you were working on that task for 12 hours today to
Hmm.
accomplish it, but you're essentially paid 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
what was the difference, right? Because that's where the challenge I see is people perceive it from time, right? Where I've
Sure.
always been not always, I've been a salaried person for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
time is nothing to me, right? Because my time has never been equated to a dollar amount,
Right.
right? Been given a salary and I negotiated that and I said, that's good for me. Now I'm going to invest all the time that's needed for my position to be successful.
Yep.
And as I get a better team underneath me or a better team with me, I can lessen my hours or whatever that is. The question being, how is that affecting you and what's your perception of that? Because you'd be the person employing these remote people.
Yeah.
And how are you going to manage that for yourself?
I mean, we have client-facing, stuff. It's not all back-end work. I do have 3 virtual assistants that are amazing. One of them is actually our main service person that answers the phones, who then transfers them to the proper licensed agent, but they need to be available and, you know, calling carriers and doing those things, it is a typical 9 to 5. Our carriers aren't open late at night, can't do it, but, like, my marketing director does tons of SEO, social media, so I don't question her during the week during the office hours, but I will say, and I'm very anti-micromanager. You get your job done, you hit your KPIs that I hired you to do. I don't care if you're, done at 3 AM or you're working at 3 AM, but you still have to be available to our clients, and you're gonna run into roadblocks in my industry specifically, if you're outside the 9 to 5. I think there's some heavier workloads and lower. I think it's more important to let people get, their jobs done, and I think if you're done early on some days are lighter than others, right? Some days are, "This week is great, like, we're good," but, like, this is the end of the month, so we're at the end of the last week of the month. We people I don't think intentionally, but sales are being made, like, things are, it's chaos last week of the month. So I always try to not be super busy during then, but, I mean, I'm okay. You have to be available for clients, you have to be available, so I think in my industry, if you're gonna have a second job, I don't think it can be simultaneous because you have to be able clients call all the time.
Oh yeah,
If
listen,
you're not answering.
I I hear you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I have
yeah,
friends that are taking meetings on top of meetings and they're
yeah,
running 4
yeah,
screens,
that's
right? And
wild.
they have 2 meetings going at the same
Yeah,
time and it's hard for them to balance and like
right,
they're just hoping that no one's
yeah.
calling on them because they're trying to listen to both conversations,
I think
right?
at some point it'll come to head, and I think it'll be caught, you
Yeah,
know?
listen,
Yeah,
for sure it
yeah,
will. And again, for me, again, I just genuinely don't
mhm,
think that it's again, I don't think that
yeah,
it's a conflict of interest
yeah,
unless it legitimately is, right? And
right,
then for you, you're kind of doing everything, so maybe you're in a gray area for me.
right.
But if someone was doing something else
Yep,
at the same time that they're doing yours,
yep,
right? I understand the client facing side, but
right,
if
right.
I'm trying to think of something that would be
Yeah,
relevant, like where
I know. When you were saying
if
that and we were
if
talking, I'm
I
like,
was
"I don't know."
programming, if
Yeah,
I was programming for a company
yeah,
and selling insurance for you,
yeah,
I could be doing that at the same time,
yeah,
right? And then pause every time I need to take a call or do something else, right? Like I'm just using that as a really
yeah,
awful
yeah, yeah.
comparison. I don't see how it would impact you, right?
No,
Do you get what I'm saying?
totally.
And
As long as you're getting your stuff done.
right.
If not, I mean, there was a salesperson, 3 years ago that she was complaining about her wages, and I'm like, "Well, first of all, you're in sales, so you're always gonna have a lower base because your worth is tied to your sales, which is your own output, right?" And so, at that point, then I started monitoring because I'm like, "Well, if you're only working, you know, 6 hours a day, it's not me, it's on you." So we
Correct.
have a different conversation because they were, that person, and so that was brought up. And I'm like, "I'll monitor if you have to, but ain't nobody got time for that. So just be an adult and get your job done." I don't question anybody. You hit your KPIs and you hit your goals. I
Do
guess
you
technically it could be done.
in
Yeah.
your business, not in
Yeah.
your industry, but in your business, do you give anybody a ceiling?
No.
If they sold $100 million,
Oh god,
then
yeah.
they'd make a
No.
million or whatever it would be. Right.
100%. Yep.
So yeah, I always thought it
Yeah.
was weird because sales jobs are removing commissions and doing different types of weird
Oh
things. And
no.
yeah, again,
Yeah.
you're responsible for your day, man.
Oh yeah.
Like, go out and do it.
And that's what I like. My service team, they still have goals too. And it's, that's super important because again, that's, do you make a couple, 10, 15 dollars on giving you proper insurance and doing, do you have jewelry? How many people think their standard home insurance covers their jewelry? It's just having the conversation. We make $10 on it. We're not doing this to become rich.
Right.
But we want to make sure you're taken care of. And so my team has all those, set up. So it's our job to care and to make sure that you're doing it.
You're in a lot of aspects, right? Like
Mhm.
from your industry perspective, the insurance side. Where do you think I guess the most challenging parts of it are for
Hmm.
you, right? Because you're in business, you're in personal, like you're in everything. Like, where are the where are the biggest gaps for you? Like, what's the largest challenge? And I guess kind of explain that for people. So
Yeah.
it's you're in the insurance industry,
Mhm.
but there's so many parallel paths in that,
Mhm.
right? And now you're into all of them.
Yeah.
W-
Except for employee benefits. We don't do
Got it.
we don't do the health piece. But I have a personal lines division, I have a commercial division. Um, we do life insurance, more very basic. Honestly, it's educating people and turning down people that just want insurance because they have to have it and it being a commodity. We truly just want to work with people that actually value the protection. Um, if you want to be a Geico or a Progressive and just go online, have no idea what you're getting, I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation, we've presented a quote, they call me back. I've been doing this long enough that it actually makes me look real good. They're like, "Well, I got this quote online," and I hear it, and I'm like, "Guarantee you didn't choose uninsured motorists." And they're like, "Well, I put everything." And I was like, "There is no way with that price do you have that coverage. That is what is so expensive in this town." And I said, "Send me the quote." Sure enough, I go, "That's the exact difference of our quote." I
Right.
knew without even seeing it that that wasn't comparable. But if you didn't actually call me and have a conversation, you would have just purchased that. And now you would have had a gap and you get injured in an accident and now your kids in the car have no medical coverage.
I feel like this is a really good message, and I just think it's funny how it came up.
Yeah.
We were talking about, you've incorporated AI, and I think,
Mhm.
a lot of these industries, including mine, are going to incorporate it in some way.
Right.
But I don't think it's ever going to be a true replacement for the people,
No.
right? Because it can ask all the questions, it can answer all the
Mhm.
questions, right? It,
Mhm.
it can do all these things, but it's that.
It helps validate us, to be quite honest.
Sure, because it can't give you the education that
Yeah.
you've gotten to ask
Yeah.
the correct question.
I will tell you, the insurance industry, I truly believe is moving at the speed of light, and the people that are just the price shoppers that just don't understand the value of us during a claim situation, during you know, reviewing your business and covering, proper coverages that you might need, telling you different scenarios. I could talk all day long about actual claim situations that have happened to my clients and to how to protect that. And but the point is I think, for the standard basic auto renters or simple auto home that, you don't have assets, you don't really, you know, you aren't really you don't care and or you don't have assets to protect, I think that's all gonna be online. I think there's gonna be a lot of self-service, but I'm old school. I actually care about customer service. I'll pay for that. If there's a local cell phone company, I will 100% switch just for not having to call an 800 number,
I've actually had
hands
that
down.
conversation
Oh my
recently.
god.
Yeah, it's just
I think we're onto something. Maybe we could
anything
do
that I do
something.
is customer service based, right? Like I want to it's not even
Yeah.
just talking to a human being.
Yeah.
I want to know that I'm a human being,
Yes.
right?
I
And
e I think that's important, and I think, our clients are more on the higher, more affluent side of things, and I don't to be quite honest, I don't think that is going anywhere because there's no way a system can properly review your entire portfolio online. You can think you know what you're looking for and realize, "Oh, I've got, like, 3 gaps over here."
yeah,
So I truly think where we've shifted our business and working with more of the affluent, that's not going anywhere. There's too many moving pieces, to be quite honest on that,
I
so
agree on that for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's super important that people hear that, you know what I mean? It's like when you're valued, I'm just going to put my personal,
Mhm.
thing to it for
Yeah.
the conversation. anytime that I've had a claim or
Mhm.
anytime that I've had an issue, like I showed up to my last van and someone had hit the side of my van.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't T-boned, but I'm like,
Right.
what is the deal? Right. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I got it. Just do this, right. And
Yep.
sometimes it's as simple as go online, do the like use your app and take the pictures and
Mhm.
submit it that way.
Yep.
There's other times where I'm like, hey, this just happened. You're like, yeah, don't do anything. This is
All
what I need you to do. Hold on a second. I'll take care of it. Right.
Yep.
And that for me is what the balance and the difference is
Mhm.
right. It's like I need advice
Yep.
and I want it to be from a person that I trust.
Yep.
And that's why I always call you. And
Yeah.
not that I wouldn't call someone in your office.
Right.
You and I have a relationship
Yep.
and I'm going to call you
Yep.
first. And occasionally you'd be like, hey, if it's an emergency, call this person.
Mhm.
Done.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get that from a computer.
No.
Right.
And I think it's like I think it's crazy because people don't understand that added value and where that education piece comes in. If you have a call center, they're literally minimum wage employees, maybe a couple hours, per hour more, but they don't understand your portfolio. So they're just gonna file a claim. So we get people all the time that have, for example, home insurance. They have like 2 water claims or 2 claims. They just got dropped by their current carrier because of that, and both claims were under $5,000. Well, if you actually talked to your agent and called them, we would be telling you not to file those claims for obvious reasons. And now you get less coverage, way shittier coverage for stupid rate.
Right.
And there's no other choice. And I just looked at an auto quote the other day and he had 4 at-fault accidents. The wife kept hitting her luxury car in the garage, but 3 of them were under $3,000. Why didn't your insurance agent advise you not to file a claim?
Right.
Or why are you, and maybe it's not their fault, why are you not calling your insurance agent and asking for direction? Because that's what we're here for.
And you and I have had those
And
conversations,
they're
right?
paying crazy money right now.
100%.
I say, you know what, Matt, I can see your whole portfolio. I can see your losses. Don't do this.
Right.
Or go get a quote and estimate it really needs to be above this for it to make it work.
Yeah, I think one of my repairs was exactly that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, take it in,
Yeah.
go here,
Yep.
right? And then if we
Yep.
need to file a claim, we will.
Yep.
Right. And it came back, whatever it was,
Yeah.
$1,800
Yeah.
or it doesn't matter.
Right.
And you're like, if it were me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'll
I'm
put
like,
my friend hat on,
right,
even as an insurance agent, and my personal policy wouldn't file that.
right.
And
So
but at the end of the day, you ultimately have the decision because it's your policy, but seeing quotes every day, seeing rates every day, seeing lawsuits every day, you're now going to be limited if you keep filing these claims. When your rates go up and you're bitching, you're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
And not have other options. Yeah.
how are you to kind of bring it back to the hospitality side?
Yeah.
How do you incorporate hospitality into your training? How do you really preach the customer service to your teams and say, listen, this is how we show up for people?
Our clients need to feel valued. I can't tell you how many flowers we've sent. One of my favorite gifts and my hack is crumble cookies because the delivery fee is so low that, when you deliver flowers, it's like $25 for a delivery fee. And you're like, they are great. We've had losses. I have a great story for that because I think that just like turns it back around to hospitality and just doing the right thing. I think that's important. I insured this older lady and she talked my ear off. I definitely lost money on that when you're looking at the payroll side of things. But I genuinely enjoyed talking to her every time. She was a librarian. And I actually caught something when I was doing her homeowner's quote on the assessor's website. She told me it was in a trust, but the assessor's website actually didn't have the trust listed. It just said her name. Which is why I'd asked her. And she was like, oh, no, 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 no. I paid for a trust. And I said, hey, you might want to get that taken care of. Fast forward 6 months later, I get a call from this lady who I have no idea who it is. I think I was a year and a half in business at this point. And she goes, my mom passed away. And I saw that she was insured in your office and we just need to figure things out. I have the POA. And she said their name. And I even have goosebumps right now. I'm like, I loved her. She was so great. And I said, "Can you please tell me, did she truly, after our phone call, go and take care of that trust?" And she goes, "Were you the one that told her?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "That saved our family so much
Right. How great is
because they
that?
didn't do it." And so then get this, the talking to the daughter, super nice, but I just truly loved that little old lady. So I got the daughter's address and I sent her flowers and I just said, "Your mom was so great to talk to and I'm really sorry for your loss," because it was a sudden loss. That lady called me back 6 months later. I had no intention of any outside thing to do, and she called me back 6 months later. I want an insurance quote for my entire family, and still to this day, 5 years later,
Right.
still a long t she will be a lifelong client for
Listen,
just those
people,
little things.
yes, people undervalue opportunity,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not what you've done, today for today. It's what you did for today for tomorrow.
Yep.
And giving people that time, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? And I've always given you a hard time about the shitty gifts you send me. And I'm like, how long have I known you? I deserve
I
something
think
better than
actually Mel was listed first one time, and I got an earful
a
because
100%.
your name wasn't on it.
Yes.
Let me tell you, immediately, everything switched in my system. Immediately.
Yeah. I deserve more than a notepad and a pen, Ashley. But yeah, but listen, I think those are small touches too, right?
Yeah,
And again, just going back to
yeah,
that is the hospitality, right? And you've done that from the beginning,
yeah.
regardless of the cost. And you're like, listen, man, this stuff's not free. And I'm like, oh, for
No.
sure. Right. And
We actually we have everything set up. I actually have a stay-at-home mom that homeschools her kids. I met her through church. She has a garage full of our merch, and after we sell a policy, we actually send out the gift to all of our clients, depending on the level you are, gets the level of gift, including our commercial clients. We've got coffee mugs. We have actually, I think I should have brought this. I think I started this after you guys signed up, but water and gas shutoff tags with our phone number, agency phone number.
yeah, definitely didn't get
Yeah.
that.
We started that after. I got really smart. I'll send some. Make sure it's addressed to Mel. Um,
That's fine. That is fine.
but like you know, when is the last time that I don't know of many. I got this idea from other agents, but clear across the country. And I was like, look at the cost. It was really it's maybe like now the coffee mugs are a little bit more on the spendier side, but 30, 60 days into your policy and all of a sudden you're getting this gift that says welcome to the family in this cute branded box.
Yeah.
I just feel like that goes a lot farther, and those are the little hospitality touches that I think make who we are.
Yeah. It's something that came through on a mailer,
Mhm.
which was unbelievable marketing. So it was a plumbing company.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't tell you their name right now, because I've gotten it twice. It is
It's not good enough.
so that just it comes like with your
Yeah.
junk mail,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's a sticker, and the
Uh,
sticker's got to be
yeah.
10 to 12 inches long
Uh-huh.
and about 8 inches tall.
Okay.
It's large.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a warning label
Oh.
that you put on your
Mhm.
water heater.
Yeah.
And it tells you what to do in case of
Yeah.
emergency or whatever, but then it has their information at the
Yep.
bottom, right? So if
Yep.
somebody's
Whether you're
actually
their client or not.
correct,
Yeah.
and it was a really good info sticker.
Mhm.
And then when I realized it was a sticker, I'm like, oh, this is genius.
Yeah.
I love this. Right. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and then it got thrown away. But then it came a second time and I like,
Oh.
awesome. So then I interacted with
Yeah.
it, right? I peeled it apart. I didn't put it on anything, but I'm like,
Right.
this is so smart.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool when people get really inventive,
Mhm.
right? But it's what you've done now is, it's not just the initial, it's the follow-up, right? And
Yep.
it's keeping people top of mind because you do, like for your commercial side, I've learned something talking to you that you have to have an agent of record,
Mhm.
right? And that can be anybody,
Mhm.
but sometimes those things don't get renewed or extended,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, listen, it's super important that when we get to that point, like I'm your agent of record, right?
Yep.
And now I can help bid on policies. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe talk a little bit about that
Sure.
because I do think in the hospitality, in the restaurant space specifically, people don't get enough insurance. They don't value themselves that way because they're trying to save every penny. But I do think having an expert helping you along in that process,
Yeah.
again, in knowing that you do need to have this person,
Mhm.
you should have someone that's really looking for your best interests at the
Oh, yeah.
same time of making money, right?
Yeah.
Because I do think a lot of commercial people just that
They don't get it.
it's there and it
Yeah.
exists and it's just built in and we're going to forget
It's
about
just
it.
checking the box,
Right. So I
right?
guess maybe kind of unpack
Yeah.
that for people that are listening that maybe don't understand what
Yeah.
that is, and you can kind of educate them right now.
Well, first of all, the importance of insurance and protection is when you actually have a claim, wouldn't you want, if you've been spending money on this, to actually cover you?
Yeah.
You're gonna be really pissed if you became cheap and didn't have it, and now you're either unprotected or not protected enough, all to save 20 bucks, 30
Yep.
bucks, 40 bucks. Specifically in this town, every billboard is littered with PI attorneys. As you're leaving to California, were you injured in a hotel?
Right.
Like, hello, we're trying to insinuate here. So, what I love and what I bring to it is I love sitting in the commercial seat because I love working with business owners. I am one myself. My P&L is just as important to me as it is to you. And so I'm looking and I understand that, but you have to understand that these things can happen
Right.
and you will get sued. And one thing that people don't understand, I always had the analogy, I was told the analogy of, like sports, like professional sports athletes. They have one agent. They don't have one agent that manages their marketing, stuff, and then one agent that handles their NFL contract. They have one agent that they go to who understands the entire picture.
Right.
We had a client, I should have never accepted it because we didn't have the whole portfolio. They thought there was specific coverage for a volunteer. Well, we assumed it was on the workers' comp, but we didn't have the workers' comp. And that workers' comp specifically didn't cover volunteers. And we didn't know that because it wasn't
Right.
in our agency. And so it's led to issues and it led to an issue with that. I mean, we were fine. We weren't, we're in the clear, but we could have done a better job or could have explained, but they cared about the number and the price. And then look what happened 2 years later. They had a claim that possibly could have been avoided.
Right.
Um, and so with those, you want to make sure you don't have gaps. But one thing to think about is on the personal line side, you can call every agent on the block and everybody can quote you. There's nothing about that. When you're in commercial, you actually get blocked. So if you came to me, I'm going to run your quote, but I'm going to be blocked if you already went to another agent. So what's happening now is I just did all that intake. I just chatted with you. I just built rapport with you. And now I'm doing all this work and I'm getting blocked everywhere I go. So we just stop. It's not me being selfish saying you have to do everything with me because quite frankly, there are some agents that don't have all the markets.
Right.
So we will be transparent and say, well, what markets did your current agent go to? Because if I try and they beat me to it, I'm blocked. But one additional piece to that is if you're constantly making submissions with different agents because you're not listening to me on that, underwriters see all those submissions. So now the leverage that your current agent has goes out the window.
Right.
I have such a great rapport with my insurance agents. In fact, we're working on our next largest account next month. And I was able to get one of my carriers to make an offer and present a quote because I've built a great relationship with them. And I told them the narrative. I explained situations. I explained how it's positive, and they trust me that I'm working with the
Right.
client. And if I didn't have that relationship, it wouldn't be there. And then I'm also in the commercial side. You can negotiate. It depends on how hungry the underwriters are. But if they see 20 other submissions come in, they don't care because it's more work for them. So now I've just lost all that leverage because the client's like, well, now I'm going to hear from this other agent who I have a relationship with and then this other one. So now I've lost the leverage. So it's super important to, you think you're playing the game by calling and you think you know what's going on, but truly you're not, you're hurting yourself. And so I, you I think it's important. Just because you tell me you're working with another broker, I'm not gonna put the brakes on, but I'm gonna say, "Hey, ask that broker what markets they've gone to."
Right.
They're gonna probably understand that you're shopping, which kinda puts them on alert too. Maybe they need to be a little bit better, but we always ask, "Why are you shopping? What is it that you think your current agent could have done better or that they did really great?" Because honestly, sometimes the client's just unrealistic
Well,
and
yeah, listen,
doesn't
I my
understand.
last business, we were a larger company
Yeah.
and one of our restaurants had a bull, right? And the bull was like, "You're now uninsurable,"
Yeah.
right? So that's out. It has to have its own policy and its own
Yeah.
everything, and it
Yeah.
becomes like that in itself was 5 times the amount of the normal policy just for
Right.
the bull, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, there's always nuances and
Yeah.
people just, people want what they want,
Yep.
right? And then they get kinda stuck in that.
We insured a restaurant and they had tableside cooking, whatever you call it.
That's
And I knew they were struggling. And I was like, this automatically doing that takes you out of the admitted market, which has really great coverages and really great rates. So now you're in that like non-standard excess market. I'm like, so I straight up told her, I go, how much is that line item are you making every year? Because I can tell you right now that's costing you $4,000 in your insurance.
right.
You better be making 3 times more than that to be offering that service.
And to your point, how many people aren't insured for that?
Oh, so
Because they
many.
just saw it on Instagram and they're just doing it.
And that's a good point to bring up because let me tell you, underwriters, they're going to websites, they're going to social media,
For sure.
they're going all over the place, and they will straight up HVAC has any industry, they have like typical standard templated websites, right? And I remember there was this big boiler like service that this HVAC I was quoting offered, and the underwriter immediately was like, decline. Well, of course, you can't tell me no. I'm gonna fight it. And they told me exactly why. And so I called the client and I made sure I was like, no, they don't do that. And they're like, it's right here on their website. So sure enough, I call them. They're like, no, it's just the company put, I was like, get it removed from your website right now. And I will re-engage with the underwriter.
Well, yeah, it's something we had that conversation.
I think so.
Right? And
Yeah.
obviously it was my industry specific. They're like,
Yeah.
"Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "It's consulting." Like,
Yeah.
"Well, they didn't
Oh, yeah.
they
You were in the kitchen.
Yeah, they're like, "Well,
Yeah.
you're on site." Well, yeah, because it's consulting. And they're like, "Yeah, but we didn't understand that." I'm like, "How did they not understand that?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
now I'm uninsurable because I
Yeah.
show up to
You
a
just have to switch because every carrier has different
Right,
markets, right? And so it's like you're physically in the kitchen, which can cause more, risk. It's
right.
it's much higher risk than consulting for me in a boardroom.
Sure.
So yeah, it's
Such a strange thing
it
sometimes.
is. And there's so many little nuances, which is why anybody in the commercial industry, look, there's some great captive companies, but the commercial is such a different world. And with being a litigious society and everybody being an ambulance chaser for such a small situation, I just think you really need an independent agent that specializes or knows, what they're doing on the commercial side.
What do you think is good advice for someone that is trying to, run a female-led
Mm,
business and
mhm,
kind of lean into that a little bit and explain where, you think you've gotten the most guidance or the most help? Like,
yeah,
you support a lot of organizations, right?
mhm,
Like, you wanna do some mentoring,
mhm.
and, how are you doing that? How are you finding those spaces for people?
I think just being open and I've actually switched. I'm not really doing networking anymore. I do a few things, a few events here and there, but I love masterminds. I love, I kind of work, I don't have a corporation above me. It's just me. And so it's lonely sometimes. And you're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I missing this? What are ways? Because there's so many parallel industries. And I just am a firm believer in collaboration over competition. So I'm friends with other insurance agents, especially here in town. We refer people back and forth if I can't help with this. But I just think collaborating with each other and finding that like group of women and group of people, not just women, but that just want to pour back into their business. And you I think you attract who, you're putting yourself out there to be. And I think we can just all help each other. get to the top. Whether that's make more money or, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I am a salesperson. I want to make,
Right.
some good money. It's why I didn't settle being a teacher. But I truly wanted the flexibility and the freedom. I get to pick up my kids every day at 3:30, and I don't take that for granted. So, we all have our different whys, and then I've had great mentors. So to me, that I haven't had to pay a dollar for. Like, they have just poured into me, and so I think it's really important to give back. So there's a couple smaller businesses that they call me, I'm right there. How can I help? How can I make you successful? Because I think that just in turns makes all of us
And do you think that
successful.
that's how you again, is that community for you too?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is that how you like
Selfless
yeah, for
community.
sure. And
Mhm.
I love that message for
Yeah.
people, and it's I've never thought that not sharing information,
Mhm.
right, was a good thing.
Yeah.
When I was building out my chocolate factory, that industry at the time was so small. It was really a tight group of people in the country that were doing it,
Yeah.
and everywhere we showed up, everyone was so gracious. Everyone was so giving. There was literally one person in the entire United States that was just an awful human being, and
Mhm.
she was in Atlanta, I think, and just couldn't give you the time of day.
Ugh.
And it was always really weird to me to to be in that position
Right.
and, reaching out to these people, and she was just a really unkind human.
Sure.
And I'm not asking for proprietary information, I'm not asking for anything, right? Like, we just wanted to be collaborative,
Yeah.
and everyone was so kind to us, and we felt we got a lot of success from that because of it, right?
Mhm.
And we were accepted to sell our chocolate in Central Market,
Mhm.
and maybe it was a year later, maybe it was 2 years later, it doesn't matter. Central Market is known for, like, producing specific things in specific locations.
Uh-huh.
So, this one roasts coffee,
Yep.
this one does this one's making tortilla, whatever it is.
Right.
One of their locations makes chocolate. So I think it was Houston, and they asked us to help with their chocolate factory. So we're like, yeah, absolutely anything you need.
Yep.
They came to Vegas, they trained with us. We went over the different machines that we have and what value they
Mhm.
bring and all the other things. So then they built their chocolate factory. And then they're like, hey, can you come help us? Sure. We came and helped them, went through the whole training. A few months later, they called us back to like, hey, these things aren't working. What are you talking about? Well, we can't do this and this. They couldn't temper their chocolate.
Mm.
So we went through it with their manager, right, that was running that department, and we went through the whole process, and she's like, "That's what we're not doing," right? Because it's a little different for them because it's so humid and it's
Sure.
so dry here, so there's a
Yeah.
little bit of challenge,
Yep.
right? But we explained it to them, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we weren't doing that, and that's why we're getting inconsistent product." Like,
Mm.
perfect. So,
Yep.
right, that was that was at our expense, right?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't charge them to fly. Like,
Yeah.
we're here to help, right? And
Yeah.
they came here, and we just gave them time.
Yep.
And we were trying to be good stewards to the brand, right? And
Mhm.
we wanted to share that information. And it was
Yep.
like, hey, where are you getting beans from? Who are you sourcing through? Like, can we go and see the farmers, right? So it's like, oh, Dandelion is using this person in
Yeah.
Dominican Republic, or this person in Ecuador, this person in Tanzania, wherever it is,
Yeah.
go there. And they were so helpful. And again, I think all those things are super important when there's enough business for everyone.
I
Everyone working together and
100% agree.
collaborating
Yeah.
is, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
because even for that, like, I may not be the right person for you. You may not be the right person for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Go talk to that
Yeah.
guy or go talk to that
Yeah.
person, and maybe they'd be better for you. I think that's
Yeah.
really good advice too.
Yeah. I think it's operating in integrity too, like doing the right thing. And to me, that is the right thing. Supporting and helping. Because if we're all successful, the world is just a much better place.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that's super important, as, corny or, um, you know, typical as it may be. If we all help each other,
Yeah.
it'll be better.
What's a message you'd like to share with people that you might not have shared? Like, what's something that's really important to you? Like, you talk about values, you
Yeah.
go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, what's something that's really important to you that you think everyone should know?
Oh, um, that it's worth it. When you figure out your why, that you can trudge through the hard, and that I'm finally on the other end. Not to say there's gonna be another, hard time, but lean on your faith, whatever it is. whether it's manifesting to different gods, whether it's just throwing it out there, whether it's accountability, like you're going to go through the hards, but just stick to your values and just keep your head down and grind and to not grind. Let me take that back. It's grit. Have the grit to get through the tough situations because when you get out on the other end, it's so much more beautiful.
I
And
think
I think
that's
that's
really great.
important. Yeah.
Something we want to focus on here,
Mhm.
because it's a hospitality
Yeah.
problem,
Mhm.
is mental health. And
Yeah.
I think it touches everyone. I think everyone's gone through these struggles. I know you've seen the struggles on what it the toll it takes on people, not from just running a small business, but from, the commitments that are required to do these types of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it affects, specifically the insurance side, but in the food and beverage industry, it's a lot of people commit suicide. A lot of people do, irrational things
Yeah.
because it's a lot of pressure. So what we wanted to kind of talk about is, if there's something you could share with people, either
Mhm.
a personal story or
Yeah.
something anecdotal, what would you give advice to people that are struggling and, to know that they're not alone and they're not suffering in silence?
I think it's important just to just know, like, I told my team this morning in the meeting, I'm like, if you're like, start the day, read our values, read our mission statement before you even start the workday. But we all have stressors. We're all going through. We've all been through trauma at some point. We're all going through something today, working through it. I also try to, somebody calls our office screaming and yelling. You don't know what they just went through. Mm, and we take the brunt of it. My team takes the brunt of that. And through these last 3, 4 years of a quote unquote hard market, I really invest in them. And you know what? Maybe you should take a day off. Just go take a breather. I told them this morning, I'm like, if you need to just go out and take a walk and step away, or if it's even worse than that, go. But I'm also here to listen and to talk things through, and I'm supportive in any way. So I think, I don't have specific tools per se, but I think just always being open and honest with them leaves the door going both ways because I've had 2 employees that have had some issues. And I actually had an employee have breast cancer, and I was there every step of the way. How can I support you? What can I do? She wasn't even trying to take like a week off during her procedure. I was like, no, you're like, step away, come back when you need to. And so I think the team sees that. And so I think that open door policy allows when those situations occur that I truly care and that I am here and we'll find help and we'll take care of that together and I'll
Yeah,
support you
I always
however
tell
I can.
people, it's your vulnerability also helps you, right? Like,
100%. Mhm.
I understand it's a problem. I understand it's a challenge,
Yeah.
right? But don't be afraid to reach out to someone and
No.
just have a conversation,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not here to solve the problem, but I'm here to help you
Yep.
solve the problem, right? I'm here to help
Absolutely.
you find the way forward that's best for
Yeah.
you, right? Because I can't control that,
Nope.
right? Like I will always be present for you, right? In
100%.
whatever you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Yep.
that's really great advice. That's all I got.
Well, thanks. I
Well,
know we
thank
could
you for
chat all
spending your
day.
time with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Yes.
We'll chat again soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Dun dun.